We live in a working world of contradiction. Be your authentic self and thrive in a workplace where you feel you don't belong. By show of hands, how many of you have ever felt like an outsider or that you don't belong at work? I'm Dr. Kendra Jason, sociologist of work, and I'm here to tell you why so many of you feel that you don't belong at work. Consider this. Most of you are navigating a workplace that does not center your lived experiences, does not build programming and initiatives around your sense of self, and does not invest in your self-efficacy. And if we're honest, even if you work from home, you may not fully actualize a sense of belonging on the job. At best, no matter where you work, you are comfortable enough to get the job done. Some of us are just more comfortable than others. So the workplace matters. Here is where it all goes down. However, studies have shown as we climb job ladders, we are highly unlikely to experience a strong sense of self or a connection to others. Instead, we feel an unbelonging. Unbelonging is when an individual or group feels like an outsider, excluded, or marginalized at work. How we feel about ourselves at work matters. The Belonging Matters Lab out of Virginia Union University noted that millennials make up 75% of the global workforce. And more than salary and benefits, they want to feel a sense of belonging. This generation of workers understands that belonging supports a healthy psychological state, well-being, and security. Belonging also correlates to performance, productivity, promotion, and innovation. So what's the key to belonging at work? Authenticity. The Simons University Institute of Inclusive Leadership designed a study titled The Importance of Authenticity in the Workplace. And they found that 93 of respondents agree that being authentic at work is important, with over 50% agreeing that it is very important. The ability to be your authentic self at work fosters belonging. So you may be wondering, what is authenticity in the workplace? Now, this can mean many things as you can imagine, but in short, it's being honest and transparent with your self-expression and communication at work. Some call it bringing your whole self to work, or not wearing a mask or being fake to please others. It also means not shrinking yourself to avoid conflict. It is a wear what you want, say what you need, do as you require action. Now, professional authenticity requires a bit of discretion and timing. To be professionally authentic, you need to understand your work culture and balance your vulnerabilities. For instance, have you ever code switched or change your communication style or tone because you don't sound like your coworkers? Do you feel nervous to make mistakes because you're a member of an underrepresented group? Do you question if you should share your interests like food and music and even holiday traditions because no one else at work shares a similar background? If you are managing these authenticities, you may be experiencing a lack of belonging. So, why do so many of you feel that you cannot be authentic at work? Because it is nearly impossible to feel authentic in a workplace that was not designed to hire you. As a consequence, many of us experience a lack of belonging and rationalize this self-doubt with a self-diagnosis of imposter syndrome. The ease in which we call ourselves imposters or even frauds is layered. Imposter syndrome is loosely defined as a psychological consequence of self-doubt or inferiority despite evidence of skills, competence, and success. Yet the true roots of this self-doubt lie in the oppressive systems designed to inhibit our well-being. Let me explain. My favorite sociological concept is power. Power is the foundation of any inequality experienced. Those in power create systems and practices to maintain their power, then coerce others to believe in and perpetuate these systems, even to the detriment of those who don't have power themselves. Take the American dream, for example. If you work hard and are determined, you will overcome life battles and you will achieve success. Your talent and your merit will determine your life outcomes. Of course, the American dream ideology ignores systems such as racism, sexism, classism, heterosexism, ableism, and any other ism that you can imagine. Yet people buy into the American dream because it legitimizes who is successful and who is not without consideration of these very real and consequential barriers. So you may be wondering, how does this relate to your job? Those who have historically controlled the means of production at work legitimize who was considered as an outsider on your job. In the US, these are people who typically experience the isms. Those who are racially minoritized, gender minoritized, low wage, older, and disabled workers, for example. Our jobs are comprised of a social organization of work that determines our working conditions, our social relationships, and the institutional norms that workers navigate. Unbelonging is an outcome of being an outsider to this social organization of work. Unbelonging is not a personal problem, as many have conceived. It is a social issue. It is not merely the absence of belonging or the inability for you to tap into your authentic self. It is instead an active state shaped by social, political, and material factors. Just like the American dream, where we can find fault in the individual psyche of a person, we have been falsely led to believe that the reason we don't feel confident and secure at work is because of our mental aptitude rather than as a consequence of discriminatory systems. So for those of you who may be feeling the unbelonging in your current job, and you are waiting for your workplace to honor your sense of self or create the conditions for your belonging, you will be disappointed. As a sociologist of work, I don't know of many mission statements that read, "We want our employees to feel good about themselves." Mission statements and organizational goals tend to focus on client outcomes, production, external reputation, and prosperity. They are not likely inward-facing. Consequently, we have unrealistic expectations about our relationships with our jobs and their responsibility for our well-being. So what's the answer? How can you be authentic and belong in a workplace that does not acknowledge that employees' identities are tied to their feelings? I'll offer you two overlapping routes. The first one focuses on you as the worker. I encourage you to get to know and like yourself. So many of us have contorted our true selves to fit workplaces. We no longer own our identity. Reconnect with your purpose and allow your authentic self to emerge. Second, find your people. They most likely won't work in your unit. Sometimes they do. but you will need to go through the building, walk across parking lots, and even Zoom rooms to find them. Once you find them, practice your authenticity and gain support for it. And third, do not excuse the isms. When you recognize discrimination at work, do not excuse it away. Ignoring systems designed to disempower you will silence your authentic expressions. The second route is for managers and the creators of workplaces. So first, know that your workplace needs to be authentic too. And you can do this by creating working environments where workers feel safe, can build connections, contribute, and grow. Second, understand that your values do not compute to practice. If you value worker wellness and authenticity, it needs to be in your mission statement and/or your strategic plan. If it is not there, it will not happen. And third, stop hiring employees that fit your work culture and instead hire those that enhance it with their authentic contribution. In closing, I encourage each of you to assess and express your authentic self, because it is only through authenticity that you will find your joy. Find your joy at work, even if it's not in the work itself, but in the people and the activities that make you smile. Co-create inclusive working environments. And remember, any job can have joy, because joy is created by people who can be authentic and not by our imposters. Thank you.